I won't dim my light for no one.
Welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. Every week I want to bring you a little mini episode where I share something that's been on my mind, something that's really present for me. I love having guests, but sometimes I find that I have these quirky, fascinating ideas that I want to share. Let's dive in. So you've probably heard the expression before, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So that's what today's thought is kind of based around. It is that expression that came to my mind when I was going through a situation recently. And then I realized that the truth is sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to accept the situation as it is and deal with it. And this, I'm going to explain what was going on when this thought came up, but it really brought me back to when I was giving birth to my son, Joshua, and I was in this scenario where I literally didn't have a choice. It didn't matter what my mindset was in that moment. My body was going to deliver this child. I was in active labor. And with Joshua's birth, he was a 9-pound baby, and I gave him, his labor was about an hour and a half long. And I didn't have time for any pain medications except for some oral ones. They're here, take this pill and that'll help. That did any good. I didn't really have any time for any kind of medical intervention because I got to the hospital and it was 20 minutes later he was born, and he was 9 pounds. The doctor was okay, oh my gosh, I'm gonna catch. And it was so horrifically painful because I was entirely unprepared for this kind of labor. And it was just so horrifically painful that in those moments when I was delivering him, because it was so fast, in my brain, I was going, I would have rather given my arm if I could have just paused that pain for 20 minutes, which of course in the long-term perspective is not true. But when it was happening, I would have done anything to have stopped that. But the point here is that there are times when the decision's already been made. I was already pregnant, and once you're pregnant, once that choice has been made, you just have to follow through on the delivery. There is no other way. It doesn't really matter what your mindset is, what other choices you want to make. At some point, you have to give birth. You have to go through the process of dealing with the consequences of being pregnant. And so in other ways, as I've looked at things that I've gone through in my life, it's sometimes you just have to accept the situation you're in, and your mindset about whether or not you think you can do it no longer is relevant. You just have to take your entire situation and do the best you can with the circumstances that you've been handed. So my current circumstance that brought this up in my brain is that I am, and I'm going to do a whole podcast episode for the beginning of September that is going to tell you the whole story about how this came to be. But I am now officially an adjunct professor at BYU teaching makeup for the theater department. And I don't have a master's degree, which was a requirement for the position. I was not looking for a job. I have never taught before other than being a podcasting coach, which was one-on-one mostly, other than a couple of workshops. I've never been a teacher. I had 0 qualifications. Also, the last time I did makeup was when I was taking these classes a few years ago. Essentially, my college professors messaged me and they were like, hey, we need someone to fill this position. Will you do it? And I was like, they were like, will you apply? So I applied. And then all of a sudden I found myself being hired, and going through this big mental journey of, oh, I totally have this. And then the next day being like, what am I doing here? I cannot do this. So I'm in the process of being trained and going through the syllabus and the schedule. And thankfully, like, I have just the most incredible teacher training me, who is my professor, and she is teaching the other section of this course. And so she's just handing me over everything, the entire schedule, the entire syllabus. It's all done for me. I just have to change the dates and the times for my course instead of hers, which is like mine is Tuesdays and Thursdays and hers is Mondays and Wednesdays. So it's all been laid out for me. It's all as easy as it could possibly be for me. But the first night when I had been given a little bit of this information, I was going through some of this coursework and I was looking at this schedule, and it's been about, I don't know, it's been 3 years since I graduated, but it's probably been 6 years since, maybe 7 years since I took the beginning makeup course that I'll be teaching. And I was looking through all this going, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't remember any of this. And I was essentially reading over the entirety of the semester in just a few minutes after one of the most overwhelming days. We had our carpets cleaned that day. All of our furniture, we moved into our kitchen. We couldn't walk on our carpets. We couldn't walk in our kitchen. And then the power went out at the end of the day. And whenever the power goes out, Joshua goes completely berserk and begs us to fix it and screams. It's great. It's just, it's so much fun. So at the end of this long day where I didn't sit down all day because I didn't have anywhere to sit in my house, at the end of that day, I had gotten this message and started looking through the course syllabus, and I was just ridiculously tired. I was so overwhelmed. And that was when I sat down to look through this, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. It's too much. I don't know how I can possibly do this. And I realized that, like, it's too late for that. I've signed the contract. Whether I can or I can't, like whether I think I can or I think I can't, it's irrelevant at this point. It's just like being pregnant with my kiddos. It is no longer relevant whether or not I think I'm capable of doing this. The decision point has passed. The decision was already made. It's already done. It doesn't matter anymore. Now I just have to do it. Now's the point where it doesn't matter anymore. I'm in. It's sometimes, the decision point's passed and you just have to jump in with both feet and do the best you can with what you've got. And so it was at that point where I was like, all right, time to start relearning everything that I think I don't remember from when I was in this course before, because I'm in. I'm here. This is where, this is it. And the reason that I'm telling you this and the reason I'm making a whole podcast episode about it is because it was that moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a choice. Oh my gosh, it doesn't matter whether I think I can or I think I can't. It doesn't even matter anymore. I don't have a choice. I better figure out how to can here. I better figure it out because I'm already in. This isn't going anywhere. It was that moment of like, oh, I don't have a choice, that I felt so much relief and so much power. And I hope that makes any sense at all. But that was when I was like, oh, I just have to do my best from here on out. Even if I don't think that I'm going to be very good at this, it's time to suck it up and just do the best I can, which means, all right, time to relearn these terms. I don't think I remember what they mean. Time to go learn back what they are. Time to go back through this textbook and reread it all. Time to learn, time to study, time to figure it out. Like, that's all there is to it. Whether I think I can or I think I can't no longer matters. I'm in. Time to figure it out. our mindset is really important, but sometimes we overthink everything. And I overthink lots of things. And this is something I've been overthinking all summer, which again, I'm going to go into that in another episode. But that's why I wanted to bring this up, is that sometimes the decision's been made. And I made this decision actually like a long time ago. I made this decision back in May when I applied for the position, and I've been overthinking it ever since. And I have to stop and just be like, oh, I decided to apply, which means I'm all in. And I'm going to do my best. And my past history shows that my best is usually pretty good, even if I don't know what I'm doing to begin with. I am a quick learner, and I figure things out, and I'm teachable. I will learn the things that I don't know. And all I have to learn before now in class number 1 is what I'm teaching in class number 1, right? I don't have to learn the entire content of the entire semester today. I have time to recall and learn and study. We sometimes think that we have to know everything now, and we don't. We have time to grow and expand and become the person we want to be. And we need to remember that for other people too. Like, I'm not expecting these students to know everything when they come in. They also are going to be learning alongside me. So it's a journey, and we got to let ourselves take the journey. So that's my thought for today, and I hope that it helps you. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama Podcast. I know that we can never be told too many times how amazing we are, so in case you haven't been told today, you are a freaking rock star. When you let yourself shine, you allow other people to take off their filters and shine brightly too. It's about time someone gave you permission to be all of you. If you enjoyed this show, please leave me a review and hit that subscribe button. I know you want more of this. Sharing is caring. Let someone you love know how incredible they are by texting them the link to this episode. They will feel so good just knowing that you thought about them. Lastly, if you want to know more about my courses and coaching, be sure to check out my website for up-to-date details on everything I have available. It's caroleegarrison.com, and the link is in the show notes. Always remember that you are a diamond. Don't let anyone dim your sparkle.